So Monster is a Tamil movie that came out in 2021, and I have issues with the way it portrays alcoholism. If you don't know what the plotline of Monster is, basically, alcoholic professor goes to a juvenile home, finds out that it's being much more shady than it already is, namely that the kids are being used as drug pawns in order to peddle drugs, launder money, all that stuff under a crime lord named Bhavani who can kill people with just one punch. I'm being serious. That's pretty much like the plot line of this whole movie. Um, I like this movie. It's like I've seen it like 5 times, but anyway, going back to the way it portrays alcoholism. From the very start, when we get introduced to our title character JD's his name. JD is an alcoholic professor, right? And he drinks in graveyard hours and he goes to work drunk. He's basically what is called a functioning alcoholic, and I have a problem with that term. It is an oxymoron in and of itself. I don't think the words functioning alcohol and alcoholic should be used in turn of each other. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, everyone thinks of him as this like hip, cool professor because he's able to vocalize what the students are really trying to say in these like school board meetings, while the other professors are like, oh no, like, we shouldn't have school elections. They shouldn't know what it's like to vote and all that stuff. When like Vijay comes in and he's like, oh no, we should vote, guys, after being like asleep for the entire meeting and having the students come into the room to have an excuse to just wake him up, right? And I don't think that alcoholism, for all the ways that they try to say like alcoholism is bad in this movie, they really don't make it seem like it's a horrible lifestyle to live. And I think that's a failure on the film, because a lot of these people look at this movie, make edits of, drunk JD and be like, yeah, you know what? This shit's cool. This is full of aura. They make edits of this shit. They like, oh, like JD was cool in the first half. After that, he just becomes Vijay. And I don't like the way that namely JD's alcoholism, is just kind of ignored after like finding out that the two kids were murdered under his watch when he was like spending the night drinking. If they were going to use that as a fact of like, okay, for this, I'm never going to relapse again, fine. But it's just never brought up again. They never bring up the alcoholism factor again in this movie. He can go to work drunk. He can fight drunk. He can like make coherent points while he's drunk. And, people can come and say like, well, functioning alcoholics, like, some of them can still function. But then we're perpetuating this myth of like, okay, we can be able to separate alcohol use and reality before it can consume someone's life. That there seems to be an illusion of control when it comes to issues like alcoholism. That's my point. That's my biggest issue with this movie, is the fact that, JD can drive a car drunk, JD can fight drunk, JD can do all these things, right? And it's never really like batted upon. And the reason why that he goes to the juvenile reformatory center is not even his own. He just like drunkenly signed his name. No, actually no. It was Malavika Mohanan's character that put his signature, knowing that he was an alcoholic, right? Knowing that he had issues of his own, and still decided, yeah, you know what? He's the best teacher to go and help reform these kids, even though like, he comes to work drunk as fuck. He comes to, he drives drunk as fuck, and everyone's just like, yeah, everyone's cool with it. The school faculty knows this, but they don't like put him on administrative leave. They don't do anything to try and address the fact that Vijay has a problem with alcoholism. That's my major point with this movie, is the fact that like, oh, you know what? You can still be a competent teacher and still be an alcoholic. And I hate that. I know I'm saying the word alcoholism way too many times in this video, but it just seems like it's a roadblock that Vijay just has to overcome with like a song and a dance, and then boom, that's it. He becomes a whole different person. It is never mentioned up again. Like, he never thinks of like relapsing, anything like that. So yeah, I don't like the way they portrayed alcoholism in this movie. I think Vijay does a good job acting, but I think like when it comes to like portraying um big social issues, it can be either very hit or miss. You can be like a miss like Bigil when it comes to sexism, like, oh, if I just say a few mean words to these girls, they'll suddenly feel empowered to like play soccer. Or it can be like Katti, you know, like it's a story that it doesn't do like the best in trying to address like corporations being taken over by like corporations taking over like farmers' lands and stuff. But it paints light on like a very much major issue that we need to talk about while like putting it in like a masala flavored cinema package and that we can ship out to commercial audiences. But as far as like Monster goes, I don't think it does a good job in addressing alcoholism. I think the characters surrounding JD don't do anything about it. Um, they don't really seem to address it. They're just like, oh, that's just how he is. Okay, we'll just like roll with it. And, you know, people might get the wrong idea and think like, oh yeah, you know what, like if they were to stop the movie at like the half mark and not witness like the reformatory and everything, they'd probably think, oh, you know, like JD was right. Like, you know, the alcoholism, maybe not a good factor, but like everything else is fine. And I think I hate that. It So I guess my conclusion is JD's alcoholism is glorified more than it is, um, damnified. And I think that that is a failure on this movie. All right, see ya.